Hey all, Andy here, helping you build a career you love. Got a special one today, August 6th, 2024. It's my book release party for the Zebra Code. Great to have you. Get in the chat, say hi. I'm really looking forward to this multi-day workshop. You're in day one of two, and I'll explain what that is in a minute, but I always like to say hello to all the people who take the time out to come and visit with me. Let's see, Andy, right as rain, great to see you. Cherry, baby girl, what's up? Ken, Christine, Eileen, Amanda, Penny, Letitia, and everybody else who's with me. Let me know where you're watching from and put some question marks in front of your questions because we're going to do a Q&A after a couple of the first couple of sections that we're going to go through. Today, what I wanted to do, because my fourth book, The Zebra Code, a step-by-step guide to mastering career skills that make you a standout professional, came out today. It's in hardbound, ebook, and audiobook, and I wanted to celebrate by offering up this multi-day workshop. Today's day one, as I mentioned. We're going to talk about really, what does skill building codified look like? What's the formula? How do you build your development plan? And how do you operate that plan? What are the key ingredients that go into it? How to identify the skill sets? How to identify my goals? A bunch of great inputs that I want to bring to the surface so that you know what goes in it and how to operate it. And then we're going to come back on Thursday and we're going to take a deeper dive on your specific trade, the craft, what you've dedicated your profession to, your domain expertise. How do you become the best at that specific trade? So it's going to be a lot of fun. Today is broken down into 3 segments. The first thing, in the spirit of book celebration, I have a little lesson for you I want to share with you that I hope inspires you to achieve your goals. So that'll be the first few minutes. Then we're going to go into a presentation. I'm going to walk you through exactly how I would build my development plan, which is actually a key chapter in the book. I'm literally going to walk you through. For all those of you that have read it, we're starting on page 83 today. So I don't know if you got the book this morning, but hopefully you put some time into looking at it. Don't worry about it. Even if you don't have the book, all this is going to make total sense to you. And then in the third part, we'll do some Q&A. So buckle up. Say hi to Kara. She's with me as always. And she's going to be organizing your questions along the way. And if you need anything from her, or you're not sure how to get something, you can always email us at support@milewalk.com. Okay, what's today gonna start out with? Being that this is a book celebration party, there were like 20 stories I wanted to tell you, and I confined myself to a singular story. And it has to do with the power of time and how you all already have in you probably what it takes to achieve your greatest goals if you would simply put the time in and channel into what you want to do professionally based on what you've already done. And I'm gonna draw an analogy from my life and how I got these books out into the world. Don't get me wrong. For those of you that go to the Andy School of Goal Setting, you know that the person that achieves the goal is not the same person who set the goal, right? A goal is something you should pursue, something you should grow into, something that should require you to be at a higher level than you are today. That's the purpose of a goal. It's about transformation, not checking something off. So I want to talk about how 4 books managed to make their way into the world, because I know you've all done a lot of great things. And then the question is, are you taking advantage of what you've already done to make this world a better place and make your life a better life for yourself? So I want to bring you back to 2011. And for those of you that are not familiar with my story, I was an information technology and management consultant between 1988 and 2004. And then in 2004, I opened up my executive recruitment firm called MileWalk. And as I started that new business in 2004, and I operated the recruitment arm of MileWalk through 2019, and along the way, in 2015, so there was some overlapping here, I augmented the MileWalk Inc. executive recruitment firm to include the MileWalk Academy, which is my coaching and teaching arm for individuals, of which that's how many of you know me. And in 2004, I started the executive recruitment firm, and I would consult 2 companies. I would help them recruit top talent. I would reach out to them. They would be my prospects. Then I would hopefully turn them into customers. Then I would take searches for them. And with those searches, I would then recruit individuals. And this took me one step, opening up the recruitment firm took me one step closer to where I wanted to be, which is to be channeling all my energy into helping the individuals. But I wanted to make sure that I could transition from technology consulting into something where I was taking a step closer to what ultimately is my passion, which is helping you in your career. And as the years went on, in 2011, I had gotten to the point where I knew it was time to put out a book. And being that my firm was a recruitment firm, I wanted to put out a hiring book because that would help the organizations that I was targeting understand that I had the credentials and the understanding of how to recruit and how to hire. And that's what I wanted to do. But I also knew that I could write a book that helped individuals, and I actually could write that book faster. So I decided that I would write interview, intervention, communication that gets you hired, because all I really needed to do at that point was channel in how I was preparing my job candidates for their interviews into a book. And I thought, I don't really care if anybody buys this book. I need to do it for so many reasons. We were just coming off, for any of you that are in my demographic and have lived through the meltdown of 2008, 9, 10, 11, and into 12, you know how difficult everything was at that time, literally everything. And we were operating effectively as a recruitment firm, but I really wanted to do something to help all of these people who were really struggling with job searching. So on Thanksgiving Friday that year, I committed myself to writing this book. And all I did for the next 5 weeks, every single day, that's 30 days in a row through Christmas and into New Year's. And on New Year's Day, I finished this book. That's it. I'd get up early in the morning. I'd write for an hour or two. I did that between Thanksgiving and Christmas. And then between Christmas and New Year's that year, I spent much of the day doing one of three things. I worked out, I ate, and I wrote, and that was it. So between Christmas and New Year's, I put the bow on it, and that's how you get a 33,000 word book. So this book was really nothing more than what I was teaching my job candidates. And I thought if nothing else, I could just give it to them and say, here, read this, and then I'll talk with you about how to prepare for your job interview, and then you'll go in and absolutely crush it. So I had already had the book in me. And then I was asked to give a speech in 2013 to a bunch of collegiate scholarship students, some faculty, and some other people in an association. It happened to be the Western Gulf Association. And I gave a speech to 400 people about goal setting. And I gave the speech. I wrote a speech. The speech took me a week, maybe writing an hour a day. It's a 47-minute speech. I gave the speech, and then all I did after that was a friend of mine took the recording, typed it up for me, and I have this text light book about goal setting called Out of Reach But in Sight, Using Goals to Achieve Your Impossible. And a book was born. And that was 10 years ago, and last week, 15 people bought it. People buy it every week. I get the numbers from Amazon and BookScan, and that's all I did was I gave a speech. So it was in me. Then I decided in 2015, it was time to write the hiring book. So I made a commitment on January 1st. I wrote until Valentine's Day, 6 weeks, every morning, couple of hours. That's how you get a 50,000 word book. And I basically taught my hiring methodology, and now I have a hiring book. So you get where I'm going with this, right? This is taking what is already in motion and carving out a little time to create something of perpetual value where the world will benefit. And even if no one ever bought this book, it still is something that is great for me to channel in, get my methodology down and on paper. And as it turned out, a whole bunch of organizations bought this book. The HR committees and groups like SHRM and HR.com or IHR, they've got this book. They had me speak. They had me teach. They even had part of the the Mile Walk recruitment methodology become part of their certification training once upon a while ago. And so that's how I was able to create 3 books very quickly, because it was just really from what I know. So I want you to think for a second as I take a sip of this water. Is there something that you have been waiting to do, hemming and hawing, and you just need to get in motion? Because I have news for you. You're not going to gain any kind of motion, any kind of momentum, any kind of inspiration unless you're moving. So that's how those 3 books were actually developed. Now, this most recent one, actually, the amount of effort that went into this is, well, it's all of those books combined, basically, in the amount of content. But the lessons that have gone into the Zebra Code have taken me 30 plus odd years to actually learn and to develop this methodology. And again, not much unlike these initial books, the Zebra Code was not something that I set out to write. I wanted to write my 4th book. I didn't want to write this book. I wanted to write a book called Today's Line to Live By. And a lot of you that follow me on the social media platforms, you know that I put a quote out every morning. I've written 8 or 9,000 quotes, just quotes that I've been circulating for a dozen years. And I want to write a devotional with one of those per day so that it could be in your hand, in the calendar, in your iPhone, and you would be able to turn the page and be inspired every single day all year long. And then I would just write one a year, every year, and give you all new stuff every year. But as I was reaching out to publishers and I was testing the waters, I was more concerned with getting a book published, and I was equipped to write a few of them. So in 2019, in March, I started a leadership coaching program because I wanted to help people not just find jobs, which is how a lot of you know me from my job searching curriculum, but also to thrive in them. And through my years as a corporate leader, as well as a business owner and a speaker and a blogger and a number of other monikers, I felt I had built a great approach to developing your career, and there were a lot of skills that went along with it. And I wanted to start teaching on them. So in March of 2019, I started my leadership coaching program, and I didn't have a strategy. I didn't have an overall I don't want to say vision, because I had a vision that I wanted to create a platform that was a subscription, that created a library that would have a lot of the assets and tools and techniques and strategies for you to grow your career. I just didn't know what the blueprint looked like. So the exact opposite of what architects do when they create homes, like they put the blueprint together so that the plumbing fits and the walls fit and the pipes fit. Well, I'm a big fan of getting in motion, and once you get into it, you'll figure it out. And that's what I did. All I needed to do was to start with a lesson and then figure out what the next lesson was, and the next lesson, and so on and so forth. And then after I operated it for a couple of years, based on the things that I was teaching, based on the things that the membership body was telling me they wanted to learn, I was able to start to visualize a methodology of what I thought every white-collar professional could use to develop and thrive in their career. But I also wanted to be able to illustrate it in a manner where people understood that if I do this first, I'm going to get greater ROI out of it as time goes on. And so I put together a methodology, which I am going to teach you today, and I packaged it into this book. And this book, the problem that this book ultimately solves is in the post-academic world, where there is absolutely no structure to professional development across different functions, companies, professions, whatever it is that you're trying to do. I built you that career syllabus, and I've identified the skill sets and the order in which I would build them and what they will do for you. And I've not just done that, but I've also taken a portion of the lessons, 15 to be exact, and put them in this book. And I will show you in this book how I've actually laid them out, why I've chosen the ones I've chosen. And then ultimately, once you understand how to implement these, there's challenges and actionable insight so that you can actually put them into play by practicing them and using them in real life. And then what I'm going to teach you today, I think, is the hardest aspect of the book, which is how do you actually build a plan where you can actually keep going on an ongoing basis so that you can build the right skills and continue to progress in your career, but also get better at your skill sets, your domain, and understand what skill sets you need to be successful. So that's how this book came about. And so what you're going to get today is a pretty good glimpse as to what the skill sets are that I think make a great professional, why I think they make a great professional, which ones that I would learn in the sequence that I would learn them. And so I'm really excited to share this with you. And I want you to go into the chat right now. Is there anything you'd like to share with the group of a project you would love to take on? Because I would like you right now, whether this is, it could be a personal project, meaning a personal professional project, meaning I would like to be a speaker at our industry's main conference in November, or I would like to create better status reports every Friday so that when I present them on Monday, I'm better at capturing the information, presenting it to the executives or to my team or whatever it is. It could be anything that's important to you, whether you do it on an ongoing basis or you do it day in and day out, or it's a one-time thing, or it's something that you want to shoot for. I want you to have it in mind as we talk through the steps. So give me some insight in the chat. Joel Diaries online store. I love it. Come on. Joel's not the only one, man. I'm thirsty. I need to take a quick second here. Give me some insight here. All right, let's get these up. Come on, Joel, online store. Stephanie, learning digital marketing to start a business. I love it. Mohit, let me see if we can share this together. Come on, cheer these folks on. This is a big honking deal. Joel Diaries, online store. Stephanie, learn digital marketing to start a business. Mohit, improving story narration and controlling the narrative. Jamie, you got the book. I love it. Gene, how to take my consulting business from doing media planning into teaching companies and speaking on the importance of the over 55 crowd. Andy's going to be 58 in a couple of weeks. David, change the electrification model of the world. Anything that changes the world, I love. I would like to create my own analytics consulting firm. Karen, I love it. OG, thanks to Kara is dang right. What is it? Is it Nima? I'm not sure if I pronounced that correctly. Published my first journal article. Fantastic. Mechalek. I need to work on my public speaking. I love these. These are all fantastic. Now I want you all, whether you shared it or not, just think about it. And I'm going to take you through some slides here to build this out. And one thing before I get into the slides, if you've got the Zebra Code, meaning a physical print copy, I have highlighted for you the slides I'm going to take you through, like where the main info is, like not what chapter, but like the page number that it's on. If it's in the ebook, it kind of slides around a little, and all the ebook publishings is a little different. It's on iTunes, or it's on iBooks, it's on Kindle, it's on the Nook, it's on those things, and their pages are a little different in the audiobook. Well, I can't help you with that, but I can tell you where it is. So let me run through the agenda. And one of the things that I want you to do is, if you don't have this book, I have a leadership skill building workbook. It's a booklet that you can take. It's like 47, 48 pages, and it outlines a lot of what we're going to talk about today. And not only does it do that, but if you happen to be in my leadership coaching program, it gives you direct links to all the skill lessons, meaning the video-based lessons we've already conducted, the workbooks, the challenges, and all the other assets. But it's really a fantastic booklet for anybody who's listening today, because it'll also help you with note taking and jotting this down and working this through when you do this on your own. So let me get into the slides here, and let's just run through the agenda very quickly. All right. So I opened up with the little story. I hope that inspired you, because you all have the figurative book in you. It's already in you. It's already in you. All right, so we're going to go through the methods. I'm going to talk about the 8 main components. We're going to talk about the assessment, how to rate your skills, how to set up your goals and the skills you need in order to attain your goals, how to take a calendar-based view, because I don't want you to just make an inventory and start working on stuff. I want you to work on stuff when you can actually use it. You're going to need to pick some coaches. You're going to need to figure out how to actually build the skills. So you're going to need lessons. And I'm not talking about watching a few videos on YouTube. I'm talking about really getting some proper instruction, manuals, training programs, courses, whatever it might be, but truly get the right kind of lessons so that you can understand what the great blueprint looks like and you have access to the manual so that you know how to build it. Also, you're going to need some tools. You have to. Can I get an amen on a Tuesday? Have the right set of success metrics, because if you don't have these, you might think you stink when you're making major progress. And this is what happens to a lot of people, is because they have expectations that are usually outcome driven. And because they have expectations that they actually have no basis or business setting, they think they're failing when that's not true. So we want to prevent you from thinking that when you're actually making progress. Speaking of, how do we track it? And then there's some action items. So it's all in the book. Now, one of the things that I want to say to you before we get into this and you all start getting overwhelmed, which is not what I want, I'm giving you what I think is a complete way to build a career skill building plan. If all you did was read my book and identify some skills you wanted to work on and work the challenges, that would make me so happy. You wouldn't believe it. And there are going to be varying degrees of effort that you are going to put into your professional development for a variety of reasons. Some of us have 8 kids at home and we need to take time out to make sure we help them with their homework and we go to the ball games. Some of you might be traveling a lot and don't have as much time. Some of you are early in your career, some of you are later in your career. It doesn't make any difference to me. I'm giving you a program here that I think will work for everybody, and it will work better for you if you're able to put more time into it. So that goes for everything in your life. So I just want to get that out of the way. That's sort of my disclaimer there. So let's get into kind of the framework here. So when I was thinking about, as I reflected on my career, now I've been working 36 years, and then I reflected on the people that I counseled as a consultant, the people that I recruited as a recruiter, the people that I coach as a career coach. And to give you an idea of the numbers, I mean, in the last, say, 6 years, I coach probably 500 people a year, so maybe 10 a week, to just give you an idea. And just in the last 3 years alone, that's 3,000 individuals. That's a lot of observation. I've been running my leadership coaching program since 2019. That's a lot of group coaching, conducting of these lessons, getting the feedback, coaching into those individuals. And this is the way I see the world. It's not anything that we need to argue about. It's just, I think this is a common sense approach to you visualizing and understanding, how do I truly evolve? And as you grow up this pyramid, when you start out, and by the way, it doesn't matter where you are in your career. You could be a 30-year veteran and the producer level might be the hardest level for you. You might be coming out of school as a 22-year-old and the producer level is definitely where you should be focusing. But when I say producer, what I mean is you're able to operate independently, right? You can crank the widget out. You can manage your own time. You can sort of take care of yourself, right? And this only requires us individually to work on these skills. And I will show you exactly what kind of skills that I believe go into the producer level. So that's the first layer. Second layer is, okay, the next skills I would build would be the ones that enabled me to communicate with others for the purposes of relationship building. So what I mean here is that I want to network effectively. I want to be able to build relationships with my coworkers. I want to be able to communicate in writing with people that I'm going to be working with. It's those kind of skills, but from a relationship goals perspective. But then as you grow up in your career, irrespective of what your function is, you're going to need to influence, whether that's an individual. So you could be a marketer, in which case you're trying to influence prospects, or a seller who's influencing prospects, or you could just be the semiconductor engineer who's trying to design a new semiconductor, and you need to pitch your approach to your management team that they should invest in this. That's influencing. So how do we present? How do we persuade? But how do we use our communication skills, verbal, written, presentation, verbal, nonverbal, to actually influence outcomes in others? And then there's the developer. And I would say this is not just leading teams and coaching people, but developing systems. So really understanding, how do we actually develop people? How do we communicate with them in a manner to develop them? Just because you are awesome at your job does not mean you know anything about how to actually develop a person, or coach them, or mentor them, or motivate them, or inspire them. And if you're managing a team and you have 10 people, you're going to need to use 10 different tactics in order to get the most out of each one of those people, even though collectively they're operating as a team. So those are a different set of skill sets, different skill sets. And then there's the visionary. I might be covering up the visionary tier, but this is really about creating ideas. And I would argue with you that the visionary could be at the producer level, meaning you could be working on cranking out the widget, but you could be spending time coming up with creative ways to crank out more widgets, or to crank out a better widget. You following me? Give me I'm tracking in the chat. Please. Let me know you're there. All right, so what's this look like? What's this look like from a detailed standpoint? Now, you're going to see some black and you're going to see some red. So the red in the skills are skill sets that I've embodied inside the Zebra Code book. So the producer level, so imagine, show of hands, how many of you think you're good at focusing? If you and I are talking and your phone beeps, will you ignore it? Will it distract you from what I'm saying? Well, then you're not very good at focusing, if that's the case. Can you totally concentrate on what somebody is saying for 2 straight minutes? Can you do that? This skill's hard to build. Have you ever been taught how to do it? Habits, willpower, confidence, planning. Can you run your day effectively? Right? Are you self-aware? 85% of the world is not. So these are the kind of skills I'm talking about. And as you can see, there's a lot of them there. Inside my leadership coaching program, I've taught a lesson on all of these. The red ink is what's inside the Zebra Code, what I covered inside the Zebra Code. Communicator, what are we talking about? Are you empathetic? Being empathetic is part of communicating because it shapes your mindset in the way you interpret. That's important. Can you listen? That's not hearing sounds. You don't even need sound. I don't even need you to make sounds I can listen to you by your body language. Speaking, storytelling in a persuasive manner, building trust. Do you know why people trust you? There's 3 reasons why. It isn't necessarily because you deliver on your promises, because if I just met you and we've only talked for 5 minutes, you might need to build my trust. Well, you don't have time to deliver on any promises. I just met you. This is complicated stuff. So, storytelling, building trust, relationship building, reacting effectively. So you get the idea. You get where I'm going with this. Influencing. Well, you need to know your subject matter. And good news for all of you, mastering your craft is a topic I'm going to be talking about on Thursday, day 2 of this workshop. Influencing, persuading, making compelling arguments. So I have a session in my leadership library, and there's a chapter in the book dedicated to crafting compelling messages. And I give you the formula of how you do that. Literally, the mechanics and the system to build a compelling message. And it's probably not what you think. It's not necessarily the structure, because there's a presentation to your message. There's a sequence to the content of your message, but there's a formula that you can go through, even if you don't have a persuasive bone in your body, that you could come up with persuasive talks. So facilitation, negotiation, networking, getting what you want from people, being able to persevere. You get the idea. And then developing, this is a lot about managing people, hiring teams, promoting your corporate culture, understanding risk management, systems that go along with that. And then the visionary, this is about idea generation, creativity, diverse thinking, being innovative, being able to predict what's happening. Can you see around the corners? So this to me is, I don't know, 50 or so bullets. There's actually more to it, but I was doing this for illustrative purposes. And I also wanted you to have an understanding of what was inside the Zebra Code and what I covered. So if it's in red, I covered it in the book. Actually, I covered more in the book, but let's not split hairs. You get the idea. But there's the red ink is broken down into 15 chapters, 15 specific lessons in the book. I give you 5 from the producer level. I give you 4 in the communicator level. I give you 3 in the influencer level. I give you 2 in the developer level, and I give you 1 in the visionary level. Cool? All right, and I mentioned that. All right, so now, first thing I want you to do is I want you to make an assessment of where I am. And the reason I want you to do this is twofold. So if you have the book, it's in part 8, chapter 19, page 269. That's where the assessment is basically getting the satellite view of you to understand, where am I in relation to those 5 tiers? And this is not a linear test. It's basically a way for you to, with questions that I've created, gauge your level of consistency in your attainment of the question or the statement, right? Number 1, I can easily concentrate on one task without allowing myself to get interrupted. Can you say never, rarely, sometimes? So you're going to score yourself. And the reason I want you to do this is because you might score how you think, meaning when you get done with all 5 levels, so I'm not going to show you all 5 levels, I'm just giving you this for illustrative purposes. But when you go through this, what's going to happen is, number 1, what's the most important step we ever take in any effort that we endure? What's the most important step? Give me an answer in the chat. I stump you all? This is not a trick question. What's the most important step? Just start. Amy M. Amy M, see Kara so she can give you a signed hardcover of my book. I'll send it to you wherever you are in the world, Amy M. And if you have not purchased the Zebra Code book, buy the ebook or the audiobook. How nice is that? Okay? And so that's right, your first step. So the first step should be fun, educational, and I just need to get you to put the pen to the paper. So, and this is a great way for you to figure out, okay, I now have a set of numbers at each level. You're going to score yourself. I give you instructions on how to do this, but I just need to give you a nudge. And so that's the first part, is I just want you to take the assessment and see, did I score higher or lower on the, influencer level than I thought I would? Oh, I scored about the same. I had one guy I coach on an ongoing basis. He's in his late 40s, and he took the assessment, and he scored pretty evenly across the layers, except when I looked under the covers, there were some key areas where he really needed to improve. So we had to look under the covers. So it's going to take a little interpreting of your results, but just get moving. Just get moving. All right. Here's what you need inside Inside your plan, these are the 8 areas. We're just gonna inventory them. This is on page 283. So if you've got the hardcover, it's on page 283. We want to figure out what your goals are. I'm going to explain exactly what I mean by that. But when I say a goal, I'm not talking about some major thing or only, some major thing that's 3 years out into the future. A goal could be every Monday I have a status report due. I have a goal. Every Tuesday I have a newsletter that needs to go to you. That is a work deliverable. A goal could be something like I want to speak at a conference, something like that. You get the idea. So it could be a variety, and I want it to be a variety. And then the skills. Well, okay, in order for me to give you my newsletter every Tuesday, I need some productivity skills because I need to make sure that I'm timing it, I'm getting it done. I need to make sure I'm planning for it, and that's fine. But I also need copywriting skills because I need to, right? I want to write fun email copy for you. That's what I'm talking about. What skill sets would I need to do that effectively? And then the lessons. Well, where am I going to get instruction? Now, the good news for you is I have a lot of the instruction, and you could get additional instruction or you could get another person's instruction. I don't really care. Just make sure you have it. Make sure you're not doing this on your own. And then what tools do I need? And then who are the coaches that I need to add? I call it a Franken mentor, but you might need an assortment of coaches. We want dear old career coach Andy to be like the head of your Franken mentor. Like we want Coach Andy to be sitting on the top of the shoulders to make sure that you're all going in the right direction. Whoever others' body parts you have. The other thing is we need to make sure that you're doing this with the calendar in mind. I don't necessarily want you working on skills that you cannot practice on real live targets at the moment. Those will come in due time. And then I also want you to be able to track where you're going. And as I mentioned before, we want to make sure that you are getting the absolute right metrics. Now, first thing I want you to do after you take the assessment is, so much like that assessment that I showed you, now what I want you to do is I actually want you to review the assessment. And I want you to review the assessment, and I want you to ask yourself these questions. What skills will have the greatest impact on my long-term overall professional development? Not all skills are created equal. So if I have a mediocre video, but I have really good interaction and one-to-one persuasive skills and selling skills, my video only needs to be so good in order for me to sell my product. Or it might be the other way around. My video and education might be so awesome that you love the content that you're like, Andy, where do I pay it? Don't worry, you don't need to sell me. So you have to gauge what the ROI is going to be on which skills you're going to build and which ones are going to matter most. Which ones will have the greatest immediate results. So while long-term, my overall live show communications, presentation skills will matter most. But immediately, if I have a workshop coming up next week, I probably need to be working on my marketing skills. So I want to look at these kinds of things in the context of time. And then I always am going to go back to the 80-20 rule, or it's probably more like the 95-5 rule, where one skill is going to make all the other skills easier to build. So if I focus and obsess about my communication skills, it's going to make my marketing, my sales, my product building, and everything else better, faster. Makes sense? So, and then you need to look at things in multiple dimensions. Let me use an example from my life that most of you would understand. So when I was first starting out as a coach in this capacity, I really knew my subject matter, right? I had been doing it for a long time. But what I didn't know was, how am I going to build a business of people from all around the world? I've never put a video out on YouTube. I've never communicated through a camera. I always communicated either on the phone or in person, right? We didn't have video much in the way of video conferencing or those kinds of things when I started out. And this is not even that long ago. So I said, okay, well, I have to improve my video skills. Well, in the video skills, there's the camera itself, there's the presentation of the content, there's the beauty of the video itself, meaning should I have graphics and lower thirds and all that good stuff, the aesthetics, so to speak, and the quality of the content, the things that are associated with it. I have to drive traffic to the video. So there's a number of different elements you could look at. And then within that, you need to figure out, well, what goes first and what goes second? And I didn't care about the aesthetics, and I didn't care about how to work a camera. I didn't even use a camera. I used a monitor, like my Thunderbolt Mac monitor. So I didn't have to worry about figuring out how to use a camera. I'll worry about that later. Oh, and then I could use a webcam. And then I worked my way into a camera. So it's things like that. And then if I'm looking at marketing, sales, product development, or whatever, right? A lot of us are multidimensional. Well, if I get better at the video, then my online training product is going to be better, and my ability to market it is going to be better, and my ability to sell it is going to be better. And even if my selling skills aren't super great, if my video presentation skills are solid, it's going to make me more appealing, more trustworthy, and if people have seen enough of the content, that should be good enough. And then we work our way into better. This is what I'm talking about. But going from the assessment is going to make it easier. So that's step one. So what you're really trying to do here is just gain an understanding of your strengths and opportunities for improvement, and understand the most important areas, and then know what your accelerator skill is. So for what I do, it was communication. For what some of you might do, it might be organization. It might be your marketing skills. It might be your software development skills. It could be anything, but that's for you to decide. But if you look at the assessment is going to help you figure out where that is. And then what you'll do is you'll go into, after you've taken the assessment, there is a matrix in the one of the appendices called Track Your Progress. It's on page 317, where you can actually go in there and, kind of check off, maybe go on a scale of 1 to 10 or something like that, of where you are. Again, you're just getting a starting point. You're putting in the work right now to blueprint where I am. Here's where I am now. And then identify what's most relevant for you. So if you're in marketing, right, your persuasion skills are important. Your branding skills are going to be important. Your influencing skills are going to be important. Your copywriting and communication skills are going to be important. Your analytical skills are going to be important, because you got to set up dashboards with metrics and monitor them and so on. So certain skills are going to be more important than others, depending on what your function is. And then the other thing you should try to do is timing. And I'm going to talk to you about timing here in a few slides. But, it's a good idea if you have a presentation every October to the board to talk about the following year's budget, that you better in August and September be working on your presentation skills and your persuasive argument skills and your business case building skills. So that's what I'm talking about. So not all things, or not all activities, work deliverables, goals, or projects have the same level of timing. That conference you want to be a speaker at, that's occurring in November, well, you might need to be sending in speaker tape in March or April. So do you need to work on the skills then? Or is it a matter of, hey, network in, they're looking for speakers, I'm game, I can speak on this topic. They say, hey, you're signed up. We'll sign you up. This is great. We'd love to have you. Okay, well, maybe you're working late summer, early fall on your presentation skills. That's what I mean by timing. So this is in the appendices on page 317. And then what we really want you to do here is go through it, just rate your skill sets, notate what the relevance is, determine the timing and urgency. This is what I just mentioned on the previous slide. And really what I'm trying to get you to do here is identify where you are at a starting point. And what's my grade right now? How would I assess that? Take your best shot. You can also talk to your boss, your coworkers, or anybody else who's involved, but give yourself an initial level of proficiency. If I didn't have anybody to look at my early videos, I could look at my early videos and say, was I smooth? Was I fast? Was I as energetic? It wasn't that I didn't have energy. It was that some energy was being expended remembering the content, which I have now completely mastered. The speed at which I talk, the speed at which the content can be delivered in a compressed amount of time. I can see all of that improving, and I could gauge that for myself. That's what I'm talking about here when you're talking about your ability to do this. What skills are going to be most important, and then pinpoint which ones you want to work on right away. So when I say, if you just identify one or two that you can work on right away, that would make me so happy. But this is step number 2. And by the way, I know it may appear as though I'm going quickly, but in the book, I've written this all out for you. And if you don't have the book, in the workbook, I've written it all out for you. So you've got some assets and some aids that are really going to help you when you read what I've written down for you. It's going to make a heck of a lot of sense. Okay, now what? Well, let's talk goals. So when people say, well, how do I think through the goals? Or maybe I really don't have any major goals, or I really just want to do my job well. If that's the case, then this slide's for you. So first thing I want you to do is, do you have any key work deliverables in this upcoming year? So back in January, for example, I knew that in January, I was going to have an interviewing workshop. In April, I was going to have a job search mini camp. In November, I'm going to have a job search challenge. In August, my book comes out. In March, I'm going to create a book launch team. I was able to see all that in last year. I knew this was going to happen 2 years ago. I could tell you what 2024 was going to look like because of all the things I planned. Now, you may or may not have that visibility, but if you know it, jot it down. And I'm talking, what I would do at this point is I would just get and notate the dates. Like, I have a big budget meeting in October. I have status reports every Friday, something like that. It's just identify. Are there any individual professional goals you want to shoot for? Let me give an example. And I'm talking about professional, not personal here. These are unique to you and your choice, meaning your boss isn't saying to you, hey, Susie, you really need to improve your organizational skills. Your boss might say that to you, but even if your boss doesn't say that to you, is your organization something you want to improve? Is your focus something you want to improve? Is your empathy something you want to improve? I'm guessing that there aren't a lot of bosses out there that are going to say to you, you need to improve your empathy, and here's how. So, all right, is this something you want to work on? All right, jot it down. Well, what are the skills required to do that? If you want to improve your organizational skills, is it capturing of information? Is it researching skills? Is it simply making sure that you're forcing yourself to spend time to do some planning the night before? What are all the skills you need? If I want to shoot a better video, I need a half a dozen skills. I need skills to operate the camera, which I had to spend time doing, but I have development of the talk, that's a skill. The delivery of the talk, that's a different skill. Then the emotion of the video, is the video going to get them charged up to go out and take on a challenge? Because I could give you instruction that's rather uninspiring. So I'm looking at, well, what skills do I need to build in order to do that? Somebody might say, well, you just need to improve your communication skills. I would argue that I could chop communication up into 20 different things. So you want to be really, 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 really specific. And then which of the skills is going to require the most attention? Because I want to start those as early as possible. So when you start thinking about that, and then the goal here is really to list your goals and list your skills. So it isn't about planning it all out. It's just, what is it that I want to work on? You might not get to all of it. That's That's not the point. The point is, if you got an inventory and you got visibility to what you want to work on, you're going to have a much better time and make much better progress if you actually know what you're shooting for. And you might say, well, that skill over here isn't as important. Right. But if you build this skill over here that's super important, that skill is like its cousin, or we can sandwich them together, or we can get them in one fell swoop. There's some synergy there. Okay. So this is listing out your goals and your skills. How are we doing so far? Any questions just yet? I know we're only on step 3. We got a handful more, but is there any questions about this? Let's see. Somebody's asking, is it going to stay on YouTube? It is. I'm not taking this down. It's going to live forever. Let's see. All right, let's take a moment here, and I'm just looking at these questions. Let's see. Will we be able to download this presentation? If you are in my leadership coaching program, you have the presentation, and I believe Kara can correct me. Kara, do the book? I don't know if the book people have access to the presentation. I have a book club that I will share with you. They might have it. I'm not to the public, but if you're in the book club, I believe we have it for you. And if you are in the leadership program, we definitely have it for you. And then somebody was asking on, these I could get at the end, Care. I could take those at the end. Those are all Michelle Lee and Amanda. Those are good questions. All right, let me keep rolling. All right, now we want to get this synced up with your calendar. Okay, so think about what you have right now. You have a list of goals, and mine might be interview, intervention, workshop, January, job search mini camp, April, job search challenge, November, book release, August 6th. It might have publicity and TV shows. We've got a bunch of TV shows that came in this morning that I have gotten on the calendar. Maybe I need my TV skills to be in order, something like that. So I got those goals. Then I got the skills that I need to build, because I'm going to do the TV show, but I have skills that go along with wrapping everything in 4 minutes as opposed to 40 minutes. It's different. There's the marketing or the punchlines of the book, and the ability to communicate and capture somebody's attention to entice them to buy it. That's a different skill. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to get, when am I going to need those skills the most? I don't need to be working on my TV skills in January if the book doesn't come out in August and no one wants to talk to me until the book comes out. You get what I'm saying? Okay, so what we do to help you align the calendar is, what are your personal seasonal activities that you like to do each year? For example, many people set goals in January. Many people reflect in December. Many people work their productivity skills in January. Planning, better inspiration. That's what I'm talking about. Many of your organizations, your bosses will not get on you to build those skills. They'll just assume you will be able to do those things. But you might need to conscientiously set that aside. Okay, I want to work on those in December, January, something like that. Is there an ideal time? December or January? What are my professional reoccurring activities? So I mentioned I have a newsletter. It comes out every Tuesday. Another one comes out every Thursday. I have a live show every Thursday on my YouTube channel. I have workshops about 3 to 4 times a year for job searching, and I have workshops similarly for my leadership program. I have a once a month leadership coaching program. It is a professional recurring activity that I do every single month. You might have a professional recurring activity you do every single week, like a status report or something of that nature, or a presentation, or a semi-monthly steering committee, I need to chair this, that sort of thing. And then Are there any one-time projects? Well, my one-time projects are like my workshops or the book is being released. That's a one-time thing. I don't do more than one of those each year. So that might go on there. Or I have that speaker conference, that conference where I'm going to be a speaker. That could be a one-time project that you're going to be performing this year. And then any ongoing activities that you'd like to improve. So kind of the repetition. So recurring could be my once a month leadership. My ongoing could be my daily emails to you or my something that I'm doing all the time or very, very frequently. I wouldn't split hairs on these. I would just use the questions to come up with the kinds of things I'm talking about that will help you drive when you build your skills. Everything I'm saying is to drive you to know when you need to build which skills. That's all this is. So this is my thoughtful way of walking you through how I would come up with that. So the goal is you just want to be able to build a one-year calendar. Basically, I just assess by month and then estimate when it's going to be. And then what you're going to get is you're going to get a sample that looks like this. This picture is actually inside the book on page 296. So if I was going in August for a technical certification test, I might be practicing the development of those skills in May, June, and July. That's what I'm talking about. If I got a presentation to the board in April, I'm going to be working on my presentation, my trust building, my crafting compelling messages skills, and those kind of things in February, March, and April. You get what I'm saying, right? I want you to always use real live targets so that you can build your skills in time to use them on real life targets. But this should be an ongoing thing, Okay, then we want you to choose some coaches because it's just silly to try to go this alone. So, are there coaches you follow? Do they have any dates? So a lot of you follow me. You know that if you're going through, and I'm talking about leadership coaching now, I have a leadership coaching session every 4 weeks. There are skill sets that are going to be available to you. You also have a library of things that you can access. For those of you that are job searching that need to build your job searching skills, a lot of times you check in with me on Tuesdays, you check in with me on Thursdays, right? So are there some specific events? Sometimes I will look in the beginning of the year and say, well, when is my coach going to be having a seminar where I might be able to fly out and work with her or him or them or whatever, or the group or something of that nature. But you're really just trying to get it down. And then are there additional coaches that you should consider, whether you know them by name or whether you look at them by topic. So one of the things that I always think about is, all right, what's the skill set that I need? And then can I go look for coaches who know this? So it's not much different than I know a lot of you are job searching. Well, what do? You go to YouTube and you start asking YouTube questions about what? The skill you want to develop, how to write a resume, how to write a cover letter, how to interview better, how to do a senior interview better. It's the same thing. If you want to work on your communication skills, start Googling, start going to YouTube, try to find the coaches. Maybe somebody will recommend books. You can obviously always start with me in general. My mission in life is to be a one-stop shop of career development stuff for you, although I realize I cannot help all of you with your individual, I can help a lot of you, but not all of you, with your individual specific domain expertise. If you're a chemist working in a lab and doing research, there's not a whole lot I'm going to be able to tell you about how to do your function. But with all the other skills you need to be a great chemist, I can help you. Get what I'm saying? Okay, so goal here is figure out pieces of your Franken-Mentor. Don't be too concerned. I want you to get coaches in your orbit and then filter them. Watch some of their stuff, read their books, follow their blogs, listen to their podcasts. But don't buy anything until you're comfortable that this is the coach for me. That's the first thing. Just get into a starting point, figure out opportunities, Maybe there's some different coaches you can find and follow. And I would recommend following their free stuff initially until you're committed and you absolutely know you love them and you're committed to building the skill. And just who's good at that skill, and let me build it. And I'm going to have much more on coaches on Thursday as well. So if you're here with me live, just a couple days. All right. It's one thing to have coaches, but those coaches better have some programs for you. They better be able to instruct you on the deepest level. Figure out if you're willing to invest in their premium coaching or whatever the instruction is that you need to get. But I would say evaluate their premium stuff, evaluate their books and blogs and all that other good stuff. If they have seminars, see if your company will reimburse you. We have a lot of people in my leadership coaching program whose companies pay for it. We have a lot of people who have high performance coaching from me whose companies pay for it. So you might be surprised. You have not because you ask not. I would check in if that's something that you're interested in. You need technical certification training. You want to learn software languages or whatever. You'll be surprised. A lot of your organizations will actually invest in you. And so then I would start looking at and compile a list of what those training lessons are, what you might be able to learn, when they might be, if they're depending on if they're asynchronous or you do them on your own, or if they're synchronous, if you need to be there in real time. Either which way is okay. Just make sure that you know that you're doing it. And I would follow coaches online. I would curate their information. I would evaluate them. And there's a number of things that when you evaluate them that I want you to evaluate that I'm going to talk with you about on Thursday about how to pick the best ones for you, for what you need. Just basically really do your research here. And then it's the same kind of thing with the tools. Is there a minimum tool set required to develop the skills? When I wanted to create a video or practice a video, I didn't even need a camera. I just had like I said, I had a laptop, or I had a MacBook, and I had a Thunderbolt monitor. That was good enough. Then I got a webcam. Then I got a camera. Then I got another camera and another camera, or whatever it was. So don't go out and spend a lot of money until you fully understand if the tool or the expense is going to actually be of value. There's a lot of inexpensive options out there, and sometimes it's worth doing things manually to build the skill, depending on what it is, but we don't want it to be at the expense of something that is inexpensive that could accelerate your ability to learn the skill or execute the skill. And so the goal here is really to just think about what the tools are, identify them, evaluate them, get the lists, evaluate what you need, when you need it. You know, it's amazing how inexpensive things can be. You don't need to go off and buy the most glorious anything right away. All right, number 8. You guys liking this so far? If you are, I mean, come on, we're an hour in. If you're loving this, or you're loving the Zebra Code, or you just love me, click the thumbs up button, share this video. It will live in YouTube land on Andy's channel forever, probably even after Andy is dust. But let's hope that's not for a very long time. But definitely smash that like button for us. Okay, determine the metrics. Now, I know how difficult this is. So much so that I went into nauseating detail in the book on metrics so that I could give you a list of metrics so that you could pick and choose instead of having to come up with your own. Okay, so now here's how I would think through my metrics. I got a half a dozen here for you. All right, what are the best indicators of productivity? So am I getting faster? Like, I used to write out a script for a video. Then I would deliver the video, meaning I would record it. Then I would write out some points and I would look at it and it'd have a little meat on the bones, and then I would deliver it. Now, sometimes I zip out a script, but the script itself takes me seconds to manufacture, and the delivery of the video is that much faster and that much better. So I'm getting better, faster, that's a productivity gauge, or it's getting better. Well, my videos look better, sound better, they're more engaging, they're more energetic, they're more inspiring. That could be one, right? Maybe you're cranking out the spreadsheet faster. Maybe the spreadsheet is better. Maybe the analytics are better. Maybe your understanding of whatever is better and you're able to build a better tool. The quality is better. It lasts longer, or whatever it might be. Maybe it's a process itself and you are looking at the stepping stone goals or the intermediary goals. What do I mean by this? Maybe you're the seller. Maybe you're the seller and you just got hired and your boss says, okay, you got $1 million quota. Like, is that my goal? How am I going to know if I'm really doing well? Well, what's it take to make $1 million? Well, it takes 12 sales. Or let's just say it takes 10 sales of 100,000 each to do the easy math. Okay, what's it take to get a $100,000 win? What's our win rate? Well, let's see. I got to make 100 phone calls to get invited to 3 proposals, and we win 3 of the 3 proposals. We win 1. Okay. Well, if you're going to win 1, and what's your average deal size? It's 50. Okay, well, that means you're going to have to win twice. That means you got to make 200 calls. You got to get 6 proposals. You got to get two wins of 50,000 on average each month. Great. Did you make your 200 calls? Great. That's a stepping stone goal. That's a process attainment goal, even though there's a number there. But the outcome goal is really what? $1 million a year. That's what we're shooting for. Okay, so let's break it down into, well, what is the process goals that if I hit them, I'm going to be able, right? So when you run a marathon, my wife is going through this right now. She wants to do her first marathon, and she's doing it in October. So she just ran 16 miles the other day for the very first time. And she wants to know how the hell she's going to run another 10. It's like, stop thinking like that. You ran the 16, didn't you? Check. Okay, let's go get a drink. Now you're done for the day. You worry about the 18-miler next week. You get where I'm going with this, right? You just hit the benchmarks along the way so that you know you're on track. If this, then that. Okay? Next thing, can you get feedback? Perhaps you're practicing your presentation skills, but you are not allowed yet to make a pitch to the $200 million client because you're an apprentice and you're the junior ad exec or whatever it is. Okay, well, is your boss telling you, okay, yeah, that was swifter, faster, it sounded more credible and more trustworthy, you had more command of your now subject matter, or whatever it is. Or you could view yourself. Maybe you could video yourself if it's something like that. So getting feedback from your boss or your colleagues or anybody else. Maybe internally, you just feel more confident. I got news for you. Confidence is something I would monitor greatly because your confidence will have a major influence on your performance, whether you know what you're doing or not. If you're confident, you'll have a tendency to go at it with vigor. So this is another one. And are my relationships, like if it's relationship based, maybe you're trying to figure out, am I improving my communication with my teammates or my staff or my senior managers or whatever it is? Okay, well, do they seem to be improving? That's a metric, right? So not every metric needs to be quantified. So like when I make a sale, when I create a workshop that I'm going to sell or a program that I'm going to sell, and I do a workshop, like a free event that leads people into a premium program because I'm giving them exposure to what it's like to work with me because I want them to be comfortable with me. I look at, well, did I do everything I could? Did I deliver the material? Was it fun and engaging? Did I make it easy for them to understand what was inside the program? Did I answer their questions proactively? Like I have metrics like this. This is how I gauge myself. Do you know what the last thing I look at is? How many people bought the program? Do you know what most people do? look first at how many people bought the program, when that does not tell the whole story. Not to mention, it's not any kind of metric that's going to get you better, because you need to be able to diagnose what you need to improve in order to engage the people better, or maybe more of them better. Both is good, right? And so I want you to be able to break it down to the lowest level so that you could troubleshoot what you need to do. All right, so really what you're doing is get your success metrics in order, get your stepping stone goals, prompt yourself with the questions, and then we want you to be able to track your progress. So there is that sheet on page 306 where you actually, there's a matrix that I showed you earlier in the presentation that allows you to check off whether you focused on the lessons, what your initial grade was, but you can make some notes there, review your process, and I'm going to leave the frequency up to you. I review myself every week. I review actually multiple times a week. I review myself on a monthly basis. We look at quarterly stuff. We look at annual stuff. And I look at the success metrics based on other things. One of my success metrics for like the workshops is your energy. So Kara and I will talk after the workshop. Like, let's say we do a 5-day workshop, and I won't even know how many people joined our program, like paid us. And I would say, it doesn't matter, because these folks in the chat had way more energy, and they seem so much more lively and engaged. They seem so much more lively and engaged than in a previous month. And I make notes, like what was happening, what month of the year was that, what was going on, what the employment market looked like. Thanks. I don't have the beepers. Thank you. The missus is home. Hon, you want to come say hi? Cheer these people on. Come on, come say hi. I don't know if you know my wife, Linda. Okay, wait, hang on. Hang on. You gotta get to the camera. Now this is the high part. Come say hi. Come on, say hi. Say hi.
Hi.
Camera's up there. Wish them all happy career development. Tell them to buy the zebra.
I'm waiting for my zebra code copy.
I know they're coming today.
Land on
Give me the dog.
Front porch. It's not here yet.
Come here.
Oh, here's my rocker.
Okay, this is Starla. Do you want to say hi? Let's get the whole family. Can we get Harley too? So wait, you're actually going to see all the LaCivitas on camera. This is my girl dog. She's the loudest dog I've ever had in my life. And that's Harley. He's 17, as you can imagine. He's 17, and these are twins from the same litter. Although they don't look exactly alike. One is short and hulky, and one is a little long and slender. And they seem to be fixated on what their older weird brother Harley is doing. But all right, come on, hey, say hi to the people. Say Dave's got to get back to work. Okay.
Right, you guys enjoy. I hope
Okay.
You love the book as much as I do.
She did. She couldn't wait to get it on the audio. Thank you, honey. Which one's
Because I
mine?
want
Is
to
this
hear.
one mine?
No, that's fine. You would not like that.
Okay, yeah, we don't want to muck up each other's coffees, because I'm more of a shooter guy. She's more of a foofy drinker. Okay, that was a good little break for me. Hope you enjoyed saying hi to Linda. But she pulls for you all. She really does. She really does. All right, where was I? Okay, going back to tracking your performance. So what we want to do here is we just want to make sure that you are setting some time aside at a reasonable frequency to actually evaluate yourself. So just make sure you're actually updating the inventory of what you focused on. Where have you put the work? You cannot get better at something if you don't put the work in, and if you don't measure it and evaluate it. And then always keep looking at, are my goals and what I'm focusing on in alignment with what I need to develop, who it is that I want to be, what it is I'm striving for, what I would like to attain. Give yourself enough time, you'll achieve anything that you want. You really will. And a lot of these things, just like this, do you know how much easier it was to write this book? Because I had a 5-year running leadership program. Every month, that was putting another brick in the house of developing something like this, which is nothing more than one additional asset or vehicle that I use to support you. That's part of my goal. My goal is to build a career development home for you where you have everything you could possibly need with one small exception, because I can't possibly coach every single function and every single person in, all 8 billion of you or however many have jobs. So, but my goal is, can I be there for them for everything else? And is this contributing to that? But I'm constantly reevaluating, am I building that house effectively for them? Am I developing the right assets? It's the same kind of thing with you with the skills that you're building. Are the skills you're building actually leading to results? If they're not leading to results, you need to troubleshoot why. All right, so that's here. And then the next thing is the action items. So action items very quickly are, number one, if you don't have a copy of the Zebra Code, please grab it. Hey, you could get the ebook for like $15. I think a lot of you have Audible subscriptions. It's on iBooks as well, and it's audio and ebook there too. You can get the hardcover anywhere, and join the free book club. I'm going to tell you about the free book club here in a second, right before we go to Q&A. Take the leadership assessment. And I know there are some questions about the leadership assessment. I'll talk about that in a minute. Benchmark your skills, identify your goals, but remember, and when I say professional and personal, I mean what I mean is your company level stuff and your personal goal, not personal like I want to learn how to swim, but hey, I'd love to be a speaker at that conference. That to me is personal, unless your company is making you do that. You get the idea. Sync your goals and skill building acts with your calendar. Don't do it in a vacuum. Don't just practice. Actually you need real live targets to know if you're getting better. Identify your coaches and the lessons, right? So you haphazardly watching podcast after podcast is not going to do it. Because what you're doing by watching podcast after podcast is you're piecemealing itty bitty lessons that are not completely structured, sequenced, and organized for you to learn the concepts, practice the concepts, and evaluate what you practiced. This is a big, big deal. There's loads of awesome stuff out on the internets. And I enjoy a podcast just like everybody else. And I enjoy videos, and I'm on YouTube every day watching different stuff, whether it's fun stuff like sports talk or whether it's other people talking about motivation or whatever it might be. But I'm usually doing that while I'm working out or running or doing something else. I'm not doing that to organize an entire approach for me to truly develop. I'm doing it more for entertainment purposes. I think a lot of people think that they're going to be able to get by with a little piece here and a little piece there. It's not going to work for you. You're going to need some kind of system. And not only are you going to need a system and the lessons, but you're also going to need to be thoughtful about how you track your progress. Because if you don't believe that you are actually making progress, you'll throw in the towel. You'll quit. You will. And we don't want you to do that because you don't know how close to success you are. What's my line, right? If success has its own timetable, if you stick with it, you'll be there when it decides to show up. Well, you need to know, are you actually making progress along the way? And as long as you feel you're making progress, you will keep going. You will. And if you don't feel like you're making progress, you're going to get frustrated and you're throwing the towel. So I really want to drive that point home. And then I want you to keep iterating. I want you to join me Thursday. And if you want to get into the book club, there's a page that we dedicated, but we'll give you that booklet. The leadership booklet. It's a workbook that you'll have ready in the right spot for you. We do have lessons on focusing. We have lessons on building self-awareness and developing empathy, telling your personal story, coaching and mentoring others, generating creative ideas. These are actual lessons out of my leadership library that I have plucked and put in a community space for people in the free book club. And then there are a whole bunch. Well, we already had 9. Actually, we had even more than that. Lessons live. We've been doing live coaching for members of the book club, and I do intend to do some additional live coaching with the book club members. But even if you just got in the book club and took advantage of the lessons, it's really going to bring to life. It's really going to bring to life the written lessons in here because I'm giving you a half a dozen video lessons. So of the 15 major lessons in the book, you're going to get 6 of them out of my leadership library. So that's a real deal. And then there are a number of other book club related events that we held that I've put those lessons, which are all additional lessons, and some of those were echoing some of the leadership lessons like focusing and empathy and self-awareness, the power of your personal story. But then there were some other additional lessons. You'll get all those replays. And the book club is meeting again on August 19th, where I'm gonna give you some of my very favorite lessons on that are inside the book, where they came from, what the inspiration or the story was, and really what kind of what I learned and all that good stuff. So really a very book club type get together, and that's Monday, August 19th. But before that, we're getting back on Thursday. I'm going to take some of your questions right now. If you haven't had a chance to order the book, well, you know what? Just shame on you, because the book's been on sale since December 26th, 2023. So, and I do appreciate some of you that ordered super, super early. Okay, thank you for that. If you enjoyed this, give it a thumbs up. I had to find that coffee that my wife got me. Got this coffee from, she said she was going to the Long Grove coffee shop. And for any of you that have a great local coffee shop, like I love these kind of shops more than I like Starbucks or a lot of the big chains, because they've just, everything's made with just a little extra love, you know? That's so good. Okay, let's see. There were some questions. David Larson, since I have the ebook, will there be printable material available for some of the tools and challenges? So if you have the ebook, if you have the ebook, if you have the book, or if you have the audiobook, I don't think you're gonna be able to see this, but okay, here you go. So no, you're not gonna be able to see this. At the end of each chapter, can you see this? There is damn thing was not going to focus. At the end of each chapter, there is a challenge. I have thought provokers, so you can think, reflect, and think forward. And then there's a 4-week challenge for most of them. Some of them have a 10-day challenge. Some of them have a 10-week challenge. But most of them are a 1-month challenge. And all of that is outlined in the ebook, because it's basically the book, right? And so that's available. If you want to grab the leadership and skill building booklet that Kara posted in the chat, you can grab that, and that's going to help. But you will have a lot of that material inside the book itself, so you will be totally covered especially for those 15 lessons. And just so you know the way it breaks down, in the book, the producer level is I went with focus, self-awareness, habits, planning and running your day, and building confidence. And then in the let me see if I can. I was probably not going to be able to do this very quickly. In the communicator level, I went with developing empathy, building trust, networking, and communication in general, speaking, listening, exchange of information. In the influencer level, in the influencer tier, I went with crafting compelling messages, inspiring with your personal story, and mastering your trade. So what you're going to see on Thursday is also going to be a nice supplement to that chapter. And then the developer is about coaching and mentoring. There's a section on that, and there's a section on delegating. And then the visionary tier, I went with generating creative ideas. Those are the 15. So 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And so that's what's actually inside. Now, if you're in my leadership coaching program, you got like 80 lessons. There's a lot more, but I gave you the base of the pyramid as a great starting point. So I hope that answers that question. And then Jamie, I am a legacy subscriber, lifetime leader to the Mile Walk Academy. How does the Zebra Code book relate to my legacy subscription? Well, Jamie, if you are a lifetime leader, I sent you a message that said, email Kara so that I could sign a book for you. And I signed a whole bunch for the lifetime leaders, and we shipped them anywhere in the world, and I personalized it with their names on them. So if you did not get that, email Kara at support, and then Kara is going to get to the warehouse, and she's going to say, ship Jamie a signed book from me. It'll be signed, but it might not have your name on it, but you'll still get a signed hardcover, and it's on me. And it's my pleasure to give that to you. Let's see. Will we be able to download this presentation? Is it on the Malawak Zebra Club book site portal? You know what? I'm gonna throw it in the book club. Okay, so I'm gonna put this. I'm gonna put this. So any of you that are take the time to sign up for the free book club. Meaning order the book in some format. That's all I ask. It's not really much. I mean, I don't hope it's not much because I'm giving you $1,000 in lessons. I will make these slides available here. Let me show you where I'm gonna put them. I'm gonna give you. We have this community in the. I didn't intend to show this to you. Here we go. So we have a community. This is a private community, and if you see over here on the right, there's the Zebra Code Book Club. And then in here, there are video lessons. So I just got done mentioning that there's a bunch of lessons. So when we just put this one out last Thursday, that's out of my leadership library. And then, just a kind of a quick summary. Then there's a workbook that you can use with this, it's all written up. And then it's got thought provokers and a challenge, and Kara puts that for you inside the community space. We also have been running weekly challenges. Every Monday, you get a message from the system we were facilitating the skill development, the coaching and replays. These are, I mentioned to you, you'd be able to have access to the different replays that we did live. This 722, for example, was on skill stacking. That was a lesson in and of itself, plus a Q&A. So these are all in there, and these are all free. And then there is it in here, Kara? Weekly, daily planning to how to build your, here we go. In here where it says how to build your development step-by-step plan, I might swap it with this video, and then in here I will put the slides. So in here is a video that also reviews this presentation in a little different format, but we will I will give you the slides in there. So any of you that have access to this, and the way to get access to this is by ordering a copy of the book in some format, and then going to the book Zebra book page, which is actually, let me get back there, is here. There's this Zebra page. Kara could put the link in the chat. All you need to do is order the book and then drop your info in, and then you'll get all this stuff. So that's all you need to do. Then you'll have access. We'll send you a welcome kit that gives you access to all that stuff I just showed you. Anybody who wants to join, I want you to be successful. So I want to give, and I want you to have this. Now, eventually, I'm not going to, I have a lot more in my leadership coaching, and if you like what you see, you're welcome to join that. But for right now, I want you to grab this guy. I want you to get going, start working the process, and I want you to, I hope, it is my dream that you fall in love with building your skills, because you could have a decent career by being good at your job, working at your job, punching that 9 to 5 clock, but you'll have an epic career if you work more on yourself. And what I'm talking about now, this is about working on yourself. This is where you get really good very fast, because you're putting the time in, and you will start to see noticeable gains, and then the compounding effect over time. And I said something to one of my teams yesterday. I said, I didn't use these exact words, but I talked about how the better you get at something, the harder you have to work in order to have just eke out a granular level of improvement. To the point, as an example, which I didn't give them yesterday, but I'm going to give this to you now. Every week I show up on Thursday and I teach. I do a live show, I teach, and I take questions. That's generally the format. Every single week, I have a standard clock that starts on Monday, that there's a certain deliverable for the talk on Thursday that needs to be done by the end of Monday. It's usually I need to know the talking points. The second day, depending on how complicated the talk is, I will either add meat to the bones or make sure that I understand all the content that's going to go into the stories, the energy I want to put into it. I always drop bombs in there for you. They have to go in the right spots. All that needs to be assembled. Then on Wednesday, I might run through it. Maybe not. Maybe I run through a portion. Thursday, I show up, I give it. It doesn't take me that long to do that, meaning all those 3 steps that I just mentioned, I can go through lightning fast. So I don't spend a lot of time. Let's say a half an hour total. And then when I give the talk, the show's probably going to be between the talk and the Q&A 90 minutes. Then I spend I watch it 3 times. So I spend 4.5 hours watching a 1.5 hour show that I spent 30 minutes preparing for, so that I could get this much better next week at cranking out the talk, the teaching portion, and answering questions more effectively on the fly. So that evaluation process is what takes the time to look for the different ways to improve. And when I watch it 3 times, you might say, well, how could you watch it 3 times? Don't you know what you said? I don't watch it the same way every time. So the first time I watch it, I just look through it. Did I hit the points? Did I hit the notes? If I was them, did they get what they needed? Basically, instruction. Second time I go through it, I look through my attitude, my demeanor, my empathy. Did I basically care for their attention in a manner that it deserved? I don't want to be flip about anything. Like, I evaluate it for the emotion and the service. And then the last time I watch it, if I get to it the 3rd round, which a lot of times I do, not always, but a lot, then I'm looking for, can I say it better? Can I say it faster? Should that be a topic? Should it be a whole topic? Should I spend an hour talking about just then there's a whole collection of things I'm looking for. So that's what I mean by if you want to get better, the evaluation, the reflection, the metrics that I'm looking at my teaching, that's how you get better faster. So I hope that helped there. Let's see, Amanda. What is considered a good, strong score out of 75 on the assessment? I wouldn't even think about that. I would think about it this way. Amanda, if you scored, say, 30 in one of the sections, like developer, that could be great because it's good enough based on what you do. But I would want you scoring high in sections 2 and 3. Communicator and influencer. And if you're not scoring high in those areas because of what you do for a job, then I'm looking at how do I get better faster in here. And I'm not as concerned with the development of people and some of these other things. And so I don't really care what that score is in relation to what you do. Well, I do care, but I just mean that's not as important for you moving the needle and you enjoying your career more in what you do than if you were a better communicator and influencer. So somebody else who's managing a large team, who's building systems. So people pay big bucks for people who can handle people and people who can build systems that run the company. Because if I'm doing what I'm doing and I'm trading my time for a customer, crank out an invoice to the customer so the customer can pay us for something, I can only contribute so much revenue to the organization. It's limited by time if you're banking on my service. So when I look at building systems in time, in my case, for example, I have a system. I have Kara who helps me. We have a system to build this, distribute it, and I have products that can be sold with no ceiling on them, meaning 1,000 people can buy them a day. And if I was able to get more people to view them, I have a system that would generate me more money. That's one aspect of my business. Second aspect of my business is I have one-to-one coaching. When I sit down one-to-one with someone, on the one hand, from a financial perspective, it is the absolute worst use of my time. However, on the other side, from a meeting of an individual and servicing them and talking with them directly and understanding how they learn, how they see, what they need to do, what their issues are, the case study, the actual what's happening in the field right now, and all the data it provides makes my system building so much better that it can scale faster because I'm spending some time financially ineffectively. But from a customer service standpoint, one of the things I enjoy the most that gives me the best data to make everything else better. The balance of all of this is it's incredible. And so when I look at my skills in relation to enjoyment, development, ability to run the business, ability to serve you, ability to teach you, coach you, and whatever, right? What were the things that I shoot for? I have to look at all of these things, and I can only spend so much time each week working on one or two things at a time. So that's why the calendar view becomes so important. I'm not overly concerned about whether I'm scoring higher. And so like if my visionary scoring, mine is high, but if it wasn't as high, but I was doing all these other things and I was building the systems and I was able to service and all that, it's a pretty good life. So there is a lot that goes into it. The question is fantastic. So, but I want you all to remember what I just said. You need to look at it in the context of what you do and what you want. So I don't mind if somebody's, visionary score is low, but are they super low in the synthesizing and some of the other areas, or are they not generating any ideas of any kind? So do they even take time out to think and generate ideas? Like there's certain things that will raise your score faster or get it to a point where it's good enough, because it doesn't all have to be, you don't have to be, 75 across the board, which is, I think, that's like 5 times 15, 75 across the board. Michelle Lee, will the skills listed in the black be the subject of the Zebra Code 2? So we're going to, you know what, Michelle? That is a great, great question. And there is, let me see if I can do this really quick. So I love that question. And I want you to know, in all honesty, this is what we do. Okay. So I chose the 15 lessons that I thought would give the most of you the greatest ROI. Okay, so that's version 1. Okay, and so version 2 could be, how about this? I'm going to let the book live and breathe. I'm going to see what the market is asking for, meaning what do they want? Not what do I want? What do they want? And then I look at, okay, should there be a book on communication only? Should there be a book on productivity only? Right? Can I make smaller books, pump them faster, address the most prominent skill sets? Or who was it, Jordan Peterson, right? Like the 12 rules and then beyond the 12 rules or whatever. And, he just kept going. The other thing too is that a lot of the, to me, I don't want to just write what I want to write. I want to write what serves you best. And so I can't wait to get feedback in the coming months after people have read it to see what really resonated with them. And then based on the sounds I'm hearing and the stuff that's coming back, we've got group coaching and the leadership, which you're part of, but then I also have high performance coaching clients that I see once a month. Some I see more frequently, some I see less frequently. And I can't wait to get their feedback too. And it's also about, I think, what's most in need. And I think it's going to be a combination of a number of factors. And I really want to write the Today's Line to Live By book. So it's, yeah, I mean, the next thing could be the Zebra Code, like the planner and the devotional and the other stuff related to this. That's actually, that would be my guess, is what would happen, is the working products of the book. So that's a great question. All right, Christine. Let's see. Cheryl, let me see. I'm just running through this. I'm trying to cherry pick some of the Carol, can you do me a favor? Can you organize the job search? If there's job searching questions, just organize them for me. Cheryl, let me see. Wait, how do you run your day effectively as a producer and influencer when your boss brings a fire drill for you to fix it? Actually, I can't remember if you asked me this on yesterday. So here's what I do. Okay. I love this question. So, all right, you want to run your day effectively. This booklet here, most of the time, my day adheres to what the book says. Not always, most of the time. Right now, it's a hot mess because I'm getting, like, the publicist contacts me every few hours with stuff that she needs and I need to write or I need to schedule to talk to people and whatever. So I've had to leave some open space. So much of the time, though, I can control my calendar. I have my content creation. I have my coaching sessions. I have my whatever throughout my day. And so then there would be customer calls for a lot of you that are in working capacities like I do, where you own your business or you're a leadership position. Then there are others of you like Cheryl who are your operator and you're trying to manage your day, your widgets, your plan, your whatever. So when I am scheduling my time and I'm laying out my day, every minute is accounted for. And I go into this in the book. The planning and running your day chapter is the longest chapter in the book. I spent the most time giving you the most instruction on that. And one of the things that you need to do when you plan and run your day is, so here's what I do. Night before I plan it, meaning, so here's my day. I got every minute accounted for. Every minute is accounted for. There's no white space on the calendar. There's nothing that says open ever. So then what happens is, okay, I wake up in the morning. I do some focus practice. I consider my day. All of these enable you, Cheryl, to what you just asked me, enable you to handle your boss. So I consider my day. I literally vision out what a perfect day would look like. So far, it's Tuesday, book release day. It's 3/11, and everything is perfect. Everything is perfect. Like everything's like total clockwork. Okay, so I envision it. Then when I go from task to task, that's part of something you do, right? I went from doing a selfie. I knew I was going to do a selfie video this morning that goes everywhere, and I needed to put it out and all that stuff. And I knew I needed to do something. I knew I needed to send an email to my publisher and all the people associated with the book to thank them. There was a bunch of things. Then I needed to write some emails, things we were scheduling. I did that. Then it was message with the publisher, did that. Then it was, okay, I had a little workout, so an hour of strength training, lunch, shower. Now I'm with you. Okay. Each time I transitioned from one to the next, I packed up what I was doing, and then I took just a little break. Maybe I got up and stretched. Maybe I went up and down the stairs. Maybe I poured some coffee, whatever it was. Then before I started the next thing I was about to do, I just thought about what would the perfect segment look like. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to write them this email. It's going to go out tomorrow. It's going to be perfect. Kara will have the copy, the picture, the what, boom, done, gone, Zoom, off it goes. Okay, then I stopped. I did something else. Now, I'm doing this throughout the whole day. The reason I'm doing this throughout the whole day is because every time I transition, I'm able to envision what success looks like. And in the event that I get stopped, or in the event I don't finish it, what will I do? If I get interrupted, what will I do? Can I roll it? Fine. Okay. Now, the boss comes in the office. You're as stress-free as possible because you just did everything I said, because you didn't have anything you were hanging on to from the night before. You were focused. You went into your day. You worked your day. Everything is humming along. And your boss comes in and says, hey, Cheryl, we just got this fire drill. Can you fix it? So then you have a couple of options, and all of you are going to be different, but I'm going to give you a few for instances right now. Some of you are going to be able to shut your door, put a sign and says, do not enter or break glass unless the building is blowing up, right? You can do that, right? In session, do not disturb. You could do that. Some of you will be able to get away with that. Some of you will say, no, the door's always open, and then they just barge in. So the first thing is, I'm in the middle of something. Can I get back to you at? That's second course of action. Third course of action is they're probably going to say, hey, Cheryl, it'll only take a minute, right? Okay. So at this point, Now you go into, you interrupted me, but you don't understand the repercussions. Now, I don't mind somebody interrupting me because does this happen every hour? Does this happen every day? What's the frequency? I'm not going to lose it because somebody interrupts me. But if it becomes a pattern, what you need to do is you need to be able to explain to that person who has total disregard for your time what interrupting you means for them. Because even though they're your boss and if they don't feel any of your pain that you have to move things around or work later or slide stuff, they're just going to keep interrupting you. So I want to put the pain and the context on them, not me. I don't want to absorb it. I want to explain to them the implications of, if you interrupt me now, this is what this means. If you interrupt me now, if I need to stop what I'm doing, you don't get this report by the top of the hour. You don't get this report by the end of the day. You get this report by the end of the day, but it's not going to have this data in it. Unless they understand the consequence of the interruption, they will just keep doing that. Do you know, did you see when my wife walked in and the dogs barked and I looked around because I'm supposed to have a remote control, and when I hit a button, they'll immediately stop and it's nothing more than a beep? Right. Well, if I can't do that and they don't there's no consequence to them, they're just going to keep barking. This analogy is the same as with a boss. Maybe we need to get the boss a bark collar. Should we do they have boss bark collars? Like somebody walks in your office and you just hit a button. But I'm not kidding. Like if they don't understand what the repercussions are, then they're just going to keep interrupting you. Here's what I did. It was the reverse. I was the boss of a 10-person team. I would get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I would run right out my door. I would go for a run. I would get home, shower. I'd run back in. I'd stretch. I'd shower. I'd get in my car. I'd get to work. It'd be 6:30, so that I could have 2 hours of uninterrupted time. So that when everybody came in, because I knew I was going to get like the fire. You're talking about the fire drill, the firing squad. Like, Andy, I need this. Andy, I need that. Where's this? Where's that? I was like, I gave you all. It's like, but I knew the client was going to interrupt. I knew all that. So I tried to accommodate for that. Now, I understand you might not be able to get to work at 6:30, but my point is, can you create either recovery time? So if it needs to say, counting on boss interrupting, need recovery time or whatever. Now, and then if you say, well, Andy, I can't do that because I'm in meeting after meeting after meeting, I'm going to start, eventually we will run out of things to the point where I will then say to you, Cheryl, is this even a good company to work at? Because we all have those choices too. But my main message to you is the repercussions need to be known and felt. And I think that's the best way. If I stop doing this, this is what this means. And you could just do it in a polite way. Or maybe we get the bark collars, the boss collars. You don't invent one of these. Maybe we can get zebra boss collars. Oh, Amy Baker. Is there any guidance out there for identifying skills for goals instead of possibly missing a step? Amy Baker. So, okay, first thing, any and all of these are the way I would go about it. I'm obviously old and knowledgeable, so I have a good feel for what's going to make a good manager, salesperson, marketer, researcher. I mean, I get that, right? I've been working a long time. But maybe you haven't and you don't have that level of experience. So first thing that I would do, is talk to somebody who's doing that job. So, hey, what are the skills? What do you need? Hey, I'm a recruiter. Well, it isn't just researching LinkedIn and writing an email to somebody. No, it's I have to talk to them. I have to understand human behavior. I have to understand motivational facts. Like, you want to ask them, and then they'll have them list out the capabilities. Second thing is, if you have access to Andy AI, so if you are a member of my job search coaching program, or you are a lifetime leader, you have access to Andy AI, you can ask Andy AI, hey, I'm a this, what are the best capabilities to build? Or I have this goal, what are the base skill sets I'm gonna need? Just ask it. Perplexity.ai, ChatGPT, Google, I would just look out there for those. Generally speaking, you want to think in terms of big muscle skills. Okay, communication. well, this isn't a big muscle. Communication, right? Is a backbone for everything that you're going to do. Okay, well, is it presentation? Is it management of expression? Is it empathy? Is it persuasion? Is it pitching? Is it, so then start breaking it down. And so it also depends what your function is. So like in marketing, well, your top skill for one of the marketers might be data analytics. The top skill for another one might be, social media copywriting or social media engagement. So that's what I would do. And I always say to everybody, you always have me. You always have me. So you can also, when you can ask me, hey, I'm on one of these. What do I do? Or you can get a coaching session with me, or you can get my leadership program or something like that. Ian, I love this. How many things should one try to work on, improve at one time? Okay. Depending on what your deliverable and your goals are. So as an example, I wanted to shoot a video. That's just a simple example. It's not a big major goal, but it's a really important goal because the videos were going to become the lifeblood of my business. And as a matter of fact, content doesn't drive. I mean, it's not like I use content to drive you to a sale. I use content to make a sale, meaning content is in the middle of what I do. It's not a thing on the outside where I drive traffic to sales pages. I do some of that, but that's not really the thrust. But I knew that long term, my ability to communicate through a video and give you a series of lessons or a house full of lessons was going to be vital. But I wasn't not going to produce it until I was perfect at everything. I wanted to just know what's the minimum viable product, meaning how can I spend the least amount of time, the least amount of money, and the least amount of effort to create something of value. Don't make it super sloppy. It doesn't need to be perfect. It needs to be breathing, and get that cranked out. Okay. So the skill I had to work on was working through a camera. Well, few practices. Okay. That's good enough. But I need to work on my lesson writing. Got to get it good enough. Give them the 5 tips. Good enough. It's better now, but good enough. Well, I'm working on multiple things at once, only to a certain degree. And I would argue with you, not with you, but you know what I mean? I would argue that it's like anything. To get the first, like say 80, 90% done takes this much time. To get the last 10% done takes this much time. So I only need to work so much to get my skill level to an acceptable level of performance. So if that's the case, then I'm looking at what's the work output or goal or deliverable that I need to create, and what are the major skills I need to build. But next week I get to practice them again and again and again. Then it becomes a function of repetition. So every week I work on my copywriting skills. Every week. Because I have real live targets that I practice and I develop, but I go through the same routine every week, multiple times. Still, 10 years later. So when it's not how many, it's what do you need at any moment in time to get your minimum viable product ready. And then what happens is the more of those and iterations that you have, the better it can be. So like when I do leadership lesson session number 1, I needed to have a workbook, the talking points. I needed to flip the camera on. I needed to zap up the Zoom session, right? Say, hey, go sign up there. Go meet me there. Like that wasn't too tough. And then I deliver it. But my leadership lessons now are better than my leadership lessons 5 years ago. That's why I might reduce some of them. But I'm working on multiple at any moment in time, but I want you to pick the most important, the one that will make the most impact and focus the most time on that. And then what are the other ones that you need to carry along to get to minimum levels to produce minimum viable outputs? So there's not one size fits all, and it's also job dependent. Tell you what, okay, let's say you're a junior salesperson. And that person's job is to cold call and make calls and do outbound sales. And you're going to say, well, Andy, he's a salesperson. He should work on his sales skills. No. He should work on his organizational skills. I need that person to make 20 calls an hour. If that person's organized and can get the 20 names and the 20 phone numbers and the 20 emails, because they can leave them an email if they don't pick up or after they leave them a voicemail, and I could do, that person can get 20 out an hour, get 100 out a day, versus a better seller who isn't as organized. My organized, less seasoned person is going to outperform the more talented, less organized person. You work your organizational skills first. Then you work your product knowledge skills second. Then you work your pitch, and your pitch is going to be messy. And every time you make a pitch, you're going to get rebuttals, and you're going to notate the rebuttal, and then you're going to find what your rebuttal is to their rebuttal, or their objection, I should say. And so this is why you need to look at why it's so important to say which skill is going to make the biggest impact. And people are working on the wrong stuff. That's a real problem. So anyway, I hope that's a great question, dude. Elma, how are you? As a contractor, I want to have 2 to 3 months each year of break for skill building. How does that impact my planning for the months I plan to work? So here's what I would say. When I think about you taking time off, wait, hold on. I love that if you can actually take 2 to 3 months off each year, that's awesome. And I would go on vacation and I would do some level of skill building each day, but I would probably be doing more research than anything, because if I'm building skills, I want to use the skill. If I'm practicing and not getting any real life or real time feedback, I might be practicing. Wait, what you practice, we make permanent, not perfect. And you don't know if what you're doing is effective. So if you don't have real time feedback, and you got 12 weeks where you're not shooting at real live targets, you're not going to know if what you're doing is correct. That's my view. So I'm more of a fan of building the skills while you have a real life target to shoot at, if that makes sense. So, and now how you plan your time. By the way, I have no problem with if you spend 2 to 3 months and you're working your skills. Actually, that would bring a huge smile to my face, because you're actually trying to get better and you're trying to build skills. I'm just saying, from a level of proficiency, ROI feedback, and having it register with you, and understanding if you need to make adjustments and you need to iterate, you won't have that real life feedback if you're off. So, and maybe what you do is in those months, maybe you're learning, you're becoming more knowledgeable about stuff, about the domain, about the content, as opposed to, right, the communications and some of those other skills that require interaction. Amy, in your mind, is a mentor different from a skills coach? So I think a coach like me coaches, meaning you come, we work, you get better. You come again, see me next week, we work, you get better. I evaluate, we keep going. A mentor, to me, and by the way, this is not even, again, to argue, like this is my interpretation. A mentor to me is a counselor that, on the one hand, if you're working directly with the mentor or your boss or supervisor or somebody within the organization that is with you frequently, that's evaluating your work and counseling you and being a teacher, that to me is just a great boss. And you could label that person a mentor. And you could even call me your professional mentor if you'd like. And if you're watching a lot of my videos and you're coming to the classes and you're coming to the programs and you're reading the books and the blog and all that good stuff, then yes, you could call me your career mentor or your career coach or whatever. But talking about somebody that you are physically present with, that you're working with, oftentimes I think a mentor is somebody that you're tapping into for guidance, maybe on a not regularly scheduled period unless you have them. I think that companies who force a mentor on you, meaning, hey, Amy, Andy's going to be your mentor, and he's assigned to you or whatever. I don't think that stuff works, because I think when you want to mentor, it's an organically developed relationship that both people want to be engaged in their capacities, meaning I'd love to help you and counsel you. And so I don't even know that we need a definition, for you to build your skills, I'm talking like you open that book and you'll see the work. I mean, it's like this book, like if you actually did it, it's work. It's a lot of work. There are not any easy days. There is no easy days in here, but there are a lot of rewarding days. So work. It's work. Cheryl, okay, I'm gonna put a gratuitous plug in here. Is there a program to learn better communication skills beside Toastmasters? Yes, my leadership program. My leadership program has every imaginable facet of communication for you to learn. And it is by far the single, I think it's the largest, let me see if I can, I think it's the largest body of oh dear, where is it? I think it's the largest body of oh dang, where is it? Let me see if I can pull this up really quick. It's the largest body of lessons that that I have. But to give you an idea, so and Cheryl, I think you're in the book club. So for those of you that have never seen the leadership library, it's organized by topic. So there's wellness and lifestyle. And so you get the idea there. There's organization and productivity, but there's also there's a productivity training course that's separate. There's success and high performance that has quite a few of these. And then there's communication and influence. There's effective communication, dealing with difficult people, leadership communication, listening, persuading. So these lessons are isolated to focus on certain aspects, getting what you want, eliciting the to-dos, the reactions from people, prepping. This is the compelling messages talk, facilitation, business case development, presentations, things like that. So, you know, it's a chance to learn. And there's more, because I mean, like, there's other things about building relationships. So personal storytelling is communication, branding, networking, trust building. These are all empathy. These are all classified as relationship building, but they're also communication, and then building teams and coaching and mentoring, collaborating, delegating. These are all communication, motivation. Those are all communication-based lessons. So that's why one of the things that my mission is that you will have everything you need in my Mile Walk Academy universe. And then it becomes a function of modality, meaning with those leaders, I meet with them every month. We're meeting August 23rd. And then that lesson is going to go into the library. And it's just going to be another brick in the house that they can access. And so some people, what they do is they come in and they build their own playlist of the things that they want to work on. That's the whole point. That's what I showed you today. And then you now have the ability to learn that on your own time, depending on what aspect of communication you want to improve. And then a Toastmasters, although I've never gone to a Toastmasters meeting or taken the curriculum, but I know people who have, and they've enjoyed it. And I'm guessing you can practice and deliver, your interactions there, and that could help you with your live stuff. But also, I would expect you to look at the lessons that I provided you, do the challenges, because the challenges are designed to help you practice the correct way, and then deliver them at work. So it's a different way of approaching it. Okay, folks, I got to get rolling. 2 flipping hours. I love it. I'm back here with you on Thursday, 1:30 Central Time. It's not my normal Thursday time, because usually I'm here at 11. But for this week, 1:30 on Thursday. If you haven't had a chance to grab my little beauty, please do, in any form, whatever your preference is, although it's really pretty. And I love having something in your house. You put it next to your nightstand, and it just sort of like the osmosis, it just works its way right into your mind, or you put it on your bookshelf. It really does make a difference. And I think Amy M, whoever Amy M was, make sure you see Kara, because we're going to ship you a signed copy. And Jamie, if you're a lifetime leader, make sure you see Kara to get your copy as well. If you enjoyed it, click the like button, and think about jumping in the book club. It's free. If you're going to go to the trouble of getting the book, get in the book club. Okay, y'all, give Kara a huge shout out. Thank you all. I so appreciate your attention and really helping make this, bringing this book to life, this journey, really fun. And just have a great couple days. I'll see you on Thursday. Be good.